Well, welcome. We are excited to have here with us Diane, who is running for the Aspen Peak School Board. Diane, what seat are you running for?
I am running for seat one, which is Traverse Mountain, Liberty Hills area.
Great. And we're so excited to be able to ask you 15 questions from the readers of the Lehi Free Press to be able to see if they can get to know you a little bit. And you'll have 1 minute responses to be able to give back. And so if you're ready, we can kind of jump into it.
I am ready.
Awesome. All right. Our first question is, what professional backgrounds and skill sets do you believe are most valuable for school board members to bring and effectively govern our new district?
Great question. So for me, the thing that I offer, and I think not every candidate needs to have this skill set, but it is imperative that somebody has this skill set on the board. And the thing that sets me apart is my lifetime of experience in the classroom. I retired last year after spending 36 years in a classroom, and I was chosen 3 years ago as Utah's best of state kindergarten teacher, which is evidence about how passionate I am about education. If you know me, you know that about me, but I do not want you to vote for me simply because I attend meetings or I support the PTA or the school community council or the numerous accolades that I have over my decades of teaching. I think what I bring to this is this deep understanding of how the school board policies and procedures, how they trickle down to a classroom.
Okay. Next question we have is, what is your position on the proposed, or what was your position on the proposed tax increment increase to fund facilities and capital expenditures? And how would you evaluate future tax policy decisions?
I have reached out to three of our Utah county's state legislators, Stephanie Grecius, Kay Christopherson, who's mine, and Corey Malloy, and I've asked them their opinions on these because I like to see the different sides of it. Um, the bottom line is it depends on what our certified tax rate is that year and how much money that we have and how much money that we need. Now, I do not want my taxes raised any more than anybody else. And I promise that I will always look for efficient ways to use our tax money. But on the flip side, Rob, we cannot sacrifice our children's education. So there has to be a balance. One thing that I am really campaigning for is proactive use of money that's already in the budget for class size reduction. So I believe that there's better ways to use it. And those are the types of things that I would like to look for before we ever increased the taxes.
Okay. Next question is, what do you see as the most critical operational gaps that need to be addressed as we separate from Alpine School District, and how should we prioritize filling them?
Okay, so we have some really crucial decisions to face in the next 20 some months. It's about 20 months until July 1st, 2027. And one of them is we need to have data centers. We need to look about perhaps doing that third party wise so that we maybe don't have the upfront costs that are associated with building another data center. We have to talk about transportation costs. We currently have an east and a west, two of them, and we need a third one. So that's something that we can work collaboratively on. We also need to decide what our student information system is going to be and have that solidly in place before we become operational. That's crucial for making things work. And the other one that we really need to think about is physical facilities. Currently, we have one person for all of the district in certain areas, and we might need to duplicate that. So those are some concerns.
Okay. Next question is, how would you approach creating Aspen Peak's inaugural budget, and what factors should guide the financial planning process?
Okay, budget wise, I believe that we have a chance to reset, to look at everything that is in our budget and to choose what's going to really work for Aspen Peaks. And in my opinion, the classroom must be the focus of every decision we make, and it should receive priority in the budget. So we must focus on optimal class sizes and using money, as I said before, that's already in the budget for this crucial thing, class size reduction in proactive ways. We need to start using that and not, for instance, it's fall break this week. 2 years ago, when I was teaching kindergarten, we got a new teacher at fall break to address large class sizes. The money was already in the budget. And I'm saying we need to address these issues before they're just blazing infernos. We need to set the new teachers up with enough time to establish their classrooms before school starts.
All right. Next question is, how would you evaluate tax incentives and requests from development agencies, and what criteria should guide these decisions?
This is a pretty interesting and complicated topic, and I appreciate a comment on this that I heard. If we don't give any tax incentives, we have zero income from maybe a business coming in. But then it's frustrating when we give tax incentives to businesses that are coming in and they don't have to pay taxes that everyone else does. So these have to be done on a first come on an individual basis, and we need to look at them. We cannot give people tax incentives that we're not willing to maybe give to someone else. But there is not an across the board answer for that. We just need to be careful and we need to understand the opportunities that are before us and what we're giving away before we make decisions.
Okay. Next question is, how would you approach establishing district policies for Aspen Peaks, adopting existing frameworks or developing new ones, and what should guide this process?
It's a great opportunity we have to look at the policies that are in place. That is one of the school board's major uh, jobs, is to set policy. So Alpine, I appreciate what they've been doing proactively to prepare for this district split. They are looking at and consolidating and deleting old versions of policies, and I appreciate that. But once we step in as the new Aspen Peaks board, we can look at what's already in place. I believe that what's already in place has been thoughtfully thought out and considered, and it's a great jumping point to start. But we have the opportunity and the responsibility to look at each of those policies and decide how we want them, how they address our community and our specific needs.
Okay. Next question is, what approach did the district take in establishing relationships with employee unions and negotiating collective bargaining agreements?
Mm. So HB 267 was just a lightning rod, just a hot topic, and I'll be really transparent. I have never been a union girl, but that does not mean that I believe that nobody should be. I believe everyone should have the opportunity to join the union if they would like. And this is just one example. The big public outcry over HB 267 is just one example of how teachers feel unseen and unheard. And if we do a better job of supporting our teachers, we wouldn't be in quite the predicament we are. I spoke with two different state legislators to get their opinion on why they feel so strongly that that was the right thing to pass. And both of them actually were adamant, yes, this was the right thing that needs to happen. And they were convinced of that. But regardless of how you feel about that, I think it was kind of a PR nightmare and a PR fail. So I'm glad it's going to vote.
Okay. Next question is legislative relations. How should the Aspen Peak School District engage with state legislators and position itself on education related legislation?
We need to be totally involved in that. And I have already started making relationships with our state legislators, and I've asked them some hard questions. Last week, I talked to Stephanie Grecius. I've talked with Corey Malloy. I've also talked with Kate Christopherson. And if we have relationships, we can make our needs heard. We don't need to go in there and demand what we need. We need to educate and talk about that. What I have discovered is that not every state legislator understands education. They don't understand everything, all the behind the scenes part and where we're coming from. So part of our job as a school board is to have relationships with them and to educate them and also to listen and hear their insights and their input. I also got to speak with Candace Perucci, so I'm trying to establish those relationships going forward.
Okay. Next question is, how would you balance educator professional autonomy with community standards regarding classroom displays and teaching materials?
That's kind of an easy one for me to answer. What I want to say, it's a complex answer, a complex issue, but it has a short answer. We need to show respect for everyone all the time, period. And it is not our job to be trying to recruit or persuade. We are dealing with children, we are dealing with minors, and we need to respect parent autonomy on that. So, as an educator, it is never our prerogative to persuade opposite opinions in any way, shape, or form. We need to respect that. So, we should not be in the business of labeling or categorizing or any of those things. We just show respect for all students and we educate. We are not trying to push any agendas. Let me be perfectly clear about that.
Okay. Next question is, how should the district handle parent concerns about instructional materials and library resources while maintaining educational quality?
Mm. Okay, that was a hot topic not too long ago, and let me be really upfront and really clear. There is no place in public education for pornography or indecency or agendas. There is absolutely no place. We have some guidelines and policies in place. In 2022, HB 374 was passed and it defines sensitive material. We also have something called the Bright Line Rule that allows if something crosses the line, it can immediately be removed. Alpine has policy 6161 that addresses this, but we need to remember in all cases that school libraries are not public libraries. They primarily serve minors, and every part of any material in a school library should be appropriate to read out loud in a board meeting, and that there is no such thing as age appropriate indecency. So I like that policies are in place and we need to follow them.
All right. Next question is, what approach should the district take on health educational curriculum and material selections?
Well, in the case of these potential sensitive issues, there must always be parent input. No matter what you do, there's going to be parents on one side or the other who think that their side is right and the other side is wrong. But one of the jobs of a school board member is to seek out input and perspectives and listen and then make the decisions that are best for our community and our particular area. That's why it's so wonderful that we are splitting into a smaller boundary so that we can address truly what our hyper-local constituents and parents want for their children. So again, before any decisions are made, we can consider what USBE has chosen as standards for the curriculum, and then we need parent input, and then we need to make reasonable responses and decisions.
Okay. What role should civic education and constitutional studies play in our curriculum, and how can we best prepare students for citizenship?
It is imperative that students understand how our government works. And I think that as a population as a whole, we're kind of illiterate about that. So I would love to see more engagement and more education for students on that so they truly understand how does the state legislature work and what role do state legislators have in that and how can they make some input on the very lowest levels. It's important that we understand the type of government that we live in and what our responsibilities are as citizens to participate in the vote. It was really fun to share out that students who are 18 by November 4th could have voted in the primary. So I had some past students that were able to vote for me, even though their birthday hadn't happened as of August 12th. So fun.
Okay. Next question is, how would you approach decisions about graduation requirements and academic standards to best serve our students' college and career readiness?
Do you know we have a camp out there that wants to kind of lower graduation standards, but on the flip side, we have businesses out there who are dying to have students that are literate in the skills that they need for their particular business. We are also dealing with some chronic absenteeism, and we kind of have taken the teeth out of that. I think chronic absenteeism, which is defined as more than 10% absent more than 10% of the time, it goes hand in hand with dropout rates. And so we need to address all of these things. In 2023, the legislature passed a law that took some of the teeth out of truancy and how courts could get involved in that. So that's swinging back and forth. We have all of these factors that are playing into it. But the bottom line is we want to graduate students with wonderful educations.
Okay. And next question, how should the district respond to state policies regarding charter schools and school choice programs that may impact enrollment and funding for the district?
Well, you might be talking about Utah Fits All or charter schools. I love what I heard from Molly Hart, the new state superintendent of education. One thing that she said is we do not need to be afraid as public education. We do not need to be afraid of all of these choices. We do not need to be afraid of public school or homeschool or charter schools. What we need to focus on, and I agree 100%, is making public schools as strong as they can be. We want public schools, we want our schools to be the vehicle of education of choice for parents because they have a vast array of options to educate their children. And so the smartest thing for us to do is concentrate on strengthening what we offer in public education and looking forward that way.
Okay. Next question is, what role should trade skills and technical education play in our district's offerings, and how would you expand these opportunities?
Well, CTE or career and technical education is really a big deal. And I've had people reach out to me who work in those departments and say, can you tell me that this will happen going forward? And so we're all worried about those types of things. We're worried about arts and music and having a well-rounded curriculum. You know, my husband likes to use sports analogies, and I love it. Not everyone's going to run a 4 minute mile. Not everyone is going to go to a 4 year college. And we need skills and trades. We need people who are efficient in those to make the world turn around. And so it's important that we support those and we encourage those and we keep those available to all students. Because when we can help students find where they shine, something that really is important to them, we are helping them be successful and setting them up for the rest of their life.
All right. And the last question is open to you. Anything you'd like to say? 1 minute for the voters here.
Yes, I would like people to consider voting for me, not just because of things that I've done, going to meetings or participating in PTAs and school community councils, which I have done and which are very important items. And I am proud of all of my accomplishments in those areas. But again, what sets me apart is my lifetime of experience in a classroom. I understand education from the inside out. And I know firsthand because I lived it, how these decisions at the top level will ripple down to real teachers and real students and real classrooms. So when you make a decision about who you want to be on the Aspen Peak School Board, please understand that I offer something unique from a lifetime of experience. I know exactly how the decisions I will help make will ripple out into education, and I ask for your vote.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Diane, for taking time. It's not easy jumping on and answering 15 questions in 15 minutes here, especially on a Zoom call that's going to go out on a YouTube. So thank you for putting your hat in the ring, as they say, and for being a candidate. And we wish you the best of success in the upcoming election.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate your efforts.